Hi, I'm Brad Humphrey, and this is Learning While Listening. We are proactively working through the 7 steps to worker retention as I have provided in this 7-part series of podcasts. There are 7 very clear strategies, steps really, that many effective contractors are using to win this war on attrition that we call worker retention. The first 4 steps have been presented in previous podcasts. Now we're on to step number 5. The engagement and participation. For a quick review of all 7 of the steps that we have talked about and will be completing on the podcast include Step 1, onboarding. Step 2, the 90-day plan. Step 3, skill training. Step 4, coaching and mentoring. Step 5, engagement and participation. Step 6, responsibility enhancement. And step 7, performance review. Now, looking at today's effort, engagement and participation is not hiring a new worker and then putting them immediately into the work process and expecting unbelievable results early. While many contractors may deny taking this approach to new employee integration, this remains one of the most consistent failed steps ever used. If, when we bring new employees on board, with our company, we simply just have them join their new department or project or crew without any real orientation and some limited amount of skill training. We're sending them to a higher level of negative first impressions. And such impressions are very difficult for most workers to forgive or to forget. Now, how long should a contractor wait before engaging a new worker to the actual task? How long before we encourage and expect participation from a new worker? Hey, these are both good questions to ask, and they should be addressed. How long should a contractor wait before engaging the new worker to the actual tasks? Well, certainly part of the answer lies in the level of skill a worker brings to the new job. That's pretty much common sense. An equipment operator, while knowing the technical skills needed and possessing the required proficiency to operate, still should be given some insights, training if needed, on how the new contractor approaches work and key handling requirements for equipment handling and maintenance at that company. In short, it is making sure that the new operator does things the way in which their new employer wants to see the work completed. If the contractor, in the before mentioned example I just shared, spends the first few days educating the new operator to the company's vision, the company's commitment to customer satisfaction, quality, safety, etc., then the new worker is better prepared to address needs on the job. This preparation for the new worker wins over their attitude, sets the company expectations more clearly in view, and makes for a better long-term and loyal employee. Now let's look at the second question that we asked earlier. How long before we encourage and expect participation from a new worker? Again, part of the answer here is dependent on the personality and the attitude of the new worker. As any contractor knows, there are some new workers who begin and hit it off early and with everybody. Within just a week or so, it seems like the new worker has been part of the family for years. But other employees can take longer to integrate into their new company. In fact, for some contractors, even a 2 to 3 year employee can still not be participating as the owner would like to see. So what is the timetable on average? Well, part of gaining a worker's participation depends on the contractor. The contractor must encourage participation and then let it happen. Too many times an employee may make an improvement suggestion only to be shot down by the contractor, their immediate supervisor, even a know-it-all coworker. For some workers, this early shoot down is enough to shut their mouth and refuse to participate in the future. This is a big reason why employees can leave a contractor. They're searching for that company who will welcome their ideas and efforts. Okay, let's now take a look at nurturing employees to engage more in their role. Likewise, let's also consider how we can gain greater participation by our workers. Remember, the successful contractor can achieve these 2 efforts, and they can greatly impact the longevity of their employees, further reducing the flight risk of workers quitting. So, let's begin to look at some specific examples, building engagement and gaining participation. A, Be sure to properly onboard new employees. Review my thoughts on step 1, and you can refresh your memory by listening or replaying the first podcast in this series on onboarding. Communicating this effort at the very beginning to the new worker's relationship with the company represents the culture that the contractor wants to create and maintain. Start this process on the first day if possible, but no later than the end of the first week in the tenure of the new employee. B, ask questions of the new worker early and listen to their responses. The communication with the new worker should not be one way only. Sure, there's a lot of things to stress, emphasize, and train, but there must be commitment to ask the employee questions. This overemphasizing of asking questions during the first few days and weeks in the life of the new employee strongly demonstrates that their thinking, ideas, their concerns, all those things are important to the contractor and that they have no reason to be shy or timid in regards to sharing what is on their mind. The key during this entire effort, however, is not the questions asked only, but more on the attention to the listening. Asking questions is important, but it is the leader who listens actively that really reinforces the culture that we care about you. Such a consistent message, especially early in the relationship, reinforces the commitment the contractor made to the new worker and allows the new worker to confirm their decision to be part of the new company. Briefly, let me share a few questions that are good to ask during the first few weeks of any new employee's life with you. So, how are you doing with what we've shared with you thus far? Do you have any questions about what we've discussed? Please share with me what you think we said. How would you explain this job or task to another employee? What can we do to help you learn more effectively? Okay, I've just demonstrated to you how to perform this task. Now, you demonstrate for me how to perform this task. Hey, can you share with me 2 to 3 things that you've learned over the past few days? And finally, I could really use your help. How can we make what we've tried to share with you better and more clear for the next and new employee? Now, any modifications of the questions that I've just shared with you will work. The point here is that posing questions regularly to new workers begin to create a level of expectation for the new employee that they are in fact expected to engage, to ask questions, and to think. Let's move on to point C. Involve new employees in discussions and decision making. Too often a contractor or one of the managers or field leaders will avoid involving new workers in construction discussions or even contributing to making a final decision. This is a real turnoff to your better attitude and better skilled new workers. If a contractor thought enough of the new worker at the interview session, why wouldn't the contractor want to involve the worker as soon as possible? A failure to do this creates mixed confusion for the new worker. Now, while not all new workers have all the answers, more employees want to be involved in impacting successful work. To not involve new employees or even seasoned workers with discussions and decision-making opportunities is creating a culture that the real winners do not want to associate. You want to keep your workers longer, don't you? Start including them in discussions on scheduling, how to approach forming that odd-angled wall or foundation, or how to rewire the house that experienced a flood. Such inclusion will build more interested and motivated workers. And that's always going to turn into longer-term employees for your company. Point D. Create some mini teams of workers to attack challenges. Some workers can participate and engage without much invitation, that's for sure. However, some employees blossom when they are part of a team-oriented approach to resolving challenges. This type of worker may prefer the team approach as they do not want to feel like they're individually carrying the burdens of the job or the task. You can create mini teams for a host of different purposes. Consider a few that I've helped to form with contractors or have observed by other contractors using. There's about 4 of them I'll share with you. First, there's a team to create and maintain clean, clear, and safe yards force trucks, trailers, and equipment. There's a team to determine the best work processes to follow when loading and unloading trucks and trailers. There's a team to lay out safety plans for any job site. And there's a team to discuss and decide the best way to cover absentee workers or vacations or that type of thing. Now, the actual team engaged may not be as important as just providing the opportunities for your new people to be part of something for the company that has value. Let's go to point E. Recruit the new worker to join a company-sponsored community event. So many more contractors are involved with community events, maybe more today than ever. From sponsoring a local marathon event to perhaps assisting on a home makeover for a family in need, such opportunities can allow a new worker to volunteer in an event that is a feel-good experience while also getting to know other company employees. Now, not to provide an exhaustive list here, but just think about a few of the community events or needs that contractors have participated in the past. Maybe you have too, that could help get your new workers involved. Some of these examples include things like a home makeover for the elderly or a family with great needs and no money to pay for those updates. Working with a high school student or students on business or construction-related projects. Certainly passing out food at local soup kitchens. Join a group of company employees on working with physically challenged children. I mean, the list goes on and on. You probably have many at your disposal right there in your area. Get the new workers involved. Pair them up. Put them on a team with other employees that are also going to be participating. That gives them a chance to get to know the company and, again, to feel like they're contributing. Remember, this technique, if you used it early in new workers' career with your company, boy, can go a long way to building a greater first impression that can last a lifetime. Let's move on to point F. Engage the new worker to train another new worker. You know, a proven technique that I've used over and over again and have observed for years in other construction companies in gaining greater engagement and participation is to assign a new worker to train another, even newer worker. Even if the newer worker is only a few weeks behind in their start, the new worker can immediately feel useful and make an actual contribution to another worker early in their tenure. The action can also drive what they have learned even deeper into their mind. They actually will become more like a teacher, preparing in a better way. There is every bit of evidence that supports the fact that the earlier and more consistent a contractor is to getting new workers engaged and participating in the company, the more productive and motivated the new worker will be. Performance and profitability are all enhanced when we engage workers at all levels of their tenure with your company to be more involved and to be more participating in work efforts. Hey, start today to engage your new workers and to gain their participation. Good luck.